Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Salas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to. And this one says that Dr. Suleiman Omar says to Jordan Peterson to go to hell. Wow! What must have happened between the two before Oman can be able to say this? Okay, maybe when we get onto the video we can be able to hear what transpired between them before he said so. And then this video was made by the Dean Show. I hope that we are going to learn a lot in as far as this video is concerned, even though that word is a little bit harsh and strong. But then when we check out the video we can be able to hear his own reasons. So if today happens to be the first time of you checking out my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it in the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So guys, before we get on to the video, I'm a theologian and I make this video not to discredit anyone's religion, thought or belief. This is basically for educational purposes, and I believe that at the end of this video we all are going to learn from this. So guys, without any further ado, let's get on to this video and check this out.
He's saying, give them hell.
And he says, I need you to find me 80 Jewish families
And then you had Omar Suleiman stepping up and telling him to go to hell. So
that were willing to volunteer to move to Jerusalem so we can reestablish a Jewish presence in this city.
To see someone like Omar Suleiman,
That's the stuff that's left out of your history book.
When Palestine is free, people like him are going to be ashamed that they did this.
Assalamu alaikum, greens of peace. Welcome to the D Show. I'm your host. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. Woke up this morning and you saw that there was a state of war. And we wanted to go ahead and shed some light on more of the context of the relationship between Islam, Muslims, and Jews. And with me here is Sheikh Yusuf. How are you?
Allahumma lakal hamd, jazakallah khair. Yourself?
Good, good. Alhamdulillah. It's good to see you.
You too? You as well.
We had very interesting, some very interesting developments. And again, disclaimer, it's very sad anytime, innocent life is taken. Human life is precious life, and we'd like nothing more than to have peace with all of our neighbors. What do you think about that?
Of course, that's an Islamic concept. Community cohesion, living together, coexisting, living side by side, helping one another in that which we have common ground on is definitely, these are all Islamic values that we uphold and live for and stand by.
In the midst of all this, you have Jordan Peterson, who the last time when we met, actually, we were actually praising Jordan Peterson. You remember? And now he actually tweeted, and we'll go through some of these tweets. He's saying, give him hell. He's talking, enough is enough. Now, we're not going to get into some details, specifics here, but just generally, some generals here that we'll be discussing. So, and then you had Omar Suleiman stepping up and telling him to go to hell. So it was, I didn't know he had him in it. He is nice to see.
I'm quite
Omar.
surprised. And yeah, it's I mean,
let me get through these.
Sure,
Hold on. So
sure.
We got our brother Sheikh Omar Suleiman stepping up and telling Jordan Peterson to go to hell. Subhanallah. And then you have, and these are all under the tweets under there. Daniel steps in. He says, how does it feel? He's talking to Jordan Peterson to be a cheap prostitute. He's talking to Jordan Peterson. You have Samira Khan, owned. She says, own. You have Amir Kolan. I had him recently on the program. He's telling Jordan Peterson. And you can see a lot of Muslims actually respected Jordan Peterson, right? And you were one of those.
For the right reasons.
Yeah. And then he says, when I watched Jordan Peterson being played on Daily Wire by Little Ben and Netanyahu, I thought he would be intelligent enough to figure out that he was being played. But I guess the benzos, the money, has done their damage. And you got Robert Carter saying, yeah, that's it, Peterson. Earn your new paycheck, you little hoe. He's called, wow.
Oh, boy.
Oh, so
it hasn't been taken down?
That's
allowed on Twitter?
Yeah. Your thoughts when you see this? Obviously, it's a declaration of war right now. With Israel, we've seen operations and whatnot, but now it's I guess it's
this nonsense, this oppression that's been happening to the Palestinian people for decades now, if not more, is something that obviously is, and it's very sad to see that the American people have not woken up to this yet. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the means of social media, YouTube and these, smartphones and so on and so forth, I think a lot of people have somewhat more access, definitely more than before, because before you'd only get the standard narrative that you're going to get from that part of the world regarding as to what's happening between the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as they'd like to put it, when in reality it's not the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's the oppression, the injustice, the ongoing injustices that keep perpetuating against the Palestinian people. I mean, this is literally an apartheid that's existing and transpired in the 21st century. In 2023, this is happening where people are not allowed, right, to even access to basic necessities. And the average American, I think, is simply not aware as to what is going on and what has been taking place in that part of the world. A lot of people think, oh, it's just these crazy nutcase Palestinians who have absolutely nothing to do than to roam the streets and to cause havoc and to cause damage, right, to the Jewish people. That's not what's happening over there.
I want to get your reaction to this, and this is what probably got a lot of people upset with Jordan Peterson. If he's trying to really be a man of peace or someone promoting peace,
it doesn't seem like it.
Why wouldn't he try to? This is self-evident. It's something that you look at. I've had Miko Pilid. He's wrote in a book, The General's Son. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. He's an Israeli Jew. He's someone who's putting his neck on the line, coming out and speaking against these injustices that are happening.
When Palestine is free, people like him are going to be ashamed that they did this. He's going to be embarrassed that he did this. There's a famous rabbi who lived in Jerusalem. He was one of the anti-Zionist rabbis, like Rabbi Weiss that you interviewed. And he was interviewed by a student of his. And the student said to him, if you were in charge today, what would be the first thing that you would do? And this rabbi said, the first thing I would do is I would ask the Palestinians to come back. And the student says, why? What are you talking about? They're terrorists. They want to kill us. And the rabbi, his name is Rabbi Amram Blau. And the rabbi said, who told you that? Who told you that the Arabs were going to kill us? We had great relations with the Muslims and the Arabs back in the day. His family lived in Hebron and his family lived in Jerusalem that always had, Jewish minorities. He said, we had great relations. We shared the same values. We shared the similar culture. We all treat each other with respect. It was only when the Zionists came at the beginning of the 20th century that the terrorism began, that the violence began. And it was initiated not by the Palestinians, not by the Arabs and the Muslims, but by the Zionists.
Open air prism, basic, on one side, you got people full running water, electricity all day. Imagine you're on the other side, and only for a fraction of the time, maybe 5% of the time, you get that running water, you get dirty water, you get electricity 24/7 on one side, across the street. On the other side of the fence, you got it for only, a fraction of the time, maybe one few hours a week or something, right? So basic, human life is not being, kids are being thrown in jail. You got babies being killed. You got
this
all
is
sorts
daily.
of justice.
This is daily.
And these are people, credible people. You got Rabbi Weiss. I've had him on the show.
That Palestine has the right to be free, and that is unacceptable to occupy Palestine. It is unacceptable what these Zionists are doing.
So it's not like a Jew-Muslim thing. And that's why I wanted you to react to this next one. This is a university professor. It's one thing us talking about this history, but we're going to show here, because that's the greater scheme of things. If Jordan Peters sees this, he can actually do some good. He can call people to really, come into the past, present, and try to do some good with that platform, instead of, what's he saying? Just go get them. Indiscriminate. We know what happens when then you have indiscriminate killing, bombing of civilians who can't get out. I want to make this very clear. Our stance is the Prophet Muhammad's stance that, I'm putting this hadith on the wall: do not kill any child, woman, elderly. The practice of treachery, uprooting tree. This is like the commandments of war. This is pretty straight, killing one innocent child, non-combatant is as you kill the world. So this is our stand. This is, we love nothing more than peace, but just giving the greater context of things. Here, let's get into this video and get your take on this, so people can see the history of how Muslims have really been towards Jewish people. This is not a Muslim Jewish thing. This is when you have the Zionists who are taking charge.
Good differentiation there.
Yeah. Okay, so the context here, we'll just play a clip, is now Muslims came and conquered Jerusalem. Omar, head of state, he conquers now, and they had done, all sorts of, treachery and whatnot. Now his chance is to take revenge, right? But he didn't. And he did the same thing Prophet Muhammad did when he came in 10,000 strong to Mecca, and he ended up showing mercy, spread the peace, spread the food. He's following the example of Prophet Muhammad. After that, Salahuddin Ayyubi would do the same thing. We're making it short and concise. People can go check this history out. You don't get to learn this usually in school. This professor's teaching this history in school. Now he's getting to the point where Omar, radiallahu anh, he's saying, like, where are the Jews? And watch what happens next.
At that point, the Caliph says, I want to see the Temple Mount. And Sophronius goes, why? And the Caliph goes, because it's holy. It's holy to everybody. It's holy to Christians, it's holy to Jews, it's holy to Muslims. And Sophronius goes, nah, we haven't been treating it as holy to anybody. And Omar ibn al-Khattab goes, what do you mean? And so Sophronius says, so after we tore down the second temple of Solomon, when we conquered Palestine, we turned the Temple Mount into a garbage dump to punish the Jews. And the Caliph goes, what do you mean? And Sophronius goes, yeah, there's like 500 years of refuse on that thing. It's just a garbage dump. And he goes, show me. They walk up to the Temple Mount, and the Caliph can't believe what he's looking at. He falls on his knees, and he begins clearing the garbage by his hands. His army sees their leader on his knees clearing garbage, and they run up and they start clearing the garbage themselves. And they clear the garbage off the Temple Mount. The Caliph goes, okay, I want to meet some of the Jews living in Jerusalem. And Sophronius goes, there are no Jews in Jerusalem. And the Caliph goes, what do you mean there's no Jews in Jerusalem? The city is holy to the Jews. How could there be no Jews? And he says, well, us Christians, we pretty much murder them every chance we get. We really hate Jews. In fact, in the war we just did against the Persians, the Jews sided with the Persians. And so we murdered 20,000 Jews in Jerusalem and completely purged the city of its remaining Jewish population. And Omar ibn al-Khattab goes, no, this is wrong. You can't do this. And so he turns to a convert to Islam, a Jewish convert to Islam, and he says, I need you to find me 80 Jewish families that were willing to volunteer to move to Jerusalem so we can reestablish a Jewish presence in this city. And that's how the Muslims conquered Jerusalem. And that's the stuff that's left out of your history book. Isn't that crazy? Because isn't that an amazing story?
That's the stuff that's left out of your history books.
Powerful.
If we would have just talked about it's one thing, but now you have an academic, this is a professor. We know this history,
Right.
But this is the stuff they're leaving out of the history books.
Intentionally.
So why would, if Muslims hated Jews, why would they want to, Omar, he's repopulated, there's no, I mean, do they understand that this is like no
Right.
Jews in Jerusalem? They're gone. They've been being killed. The Christians are killing them. And he's like, where are they at? He's looking for the Temple Mount. It's covered, with garbage, how many hundreds of years. He restores it. And then he basically gets 80 families to repopulate Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Look at the respect he's even showing the Jews. Look at that.
Yeah.
So are they your enemy because of that?
No, I think we have, as you mentioned earlier, I think there's the benchmarker. I think the differentiating factor is, are we talking about Zionists here, or are we speaking of Jews and Christians? I think there's a big, I mean, you have many Jewish, right? Just so I'm not accused of being an anti-Semite, because today, if you criticize, just by criticizing, not Judaism, but, Zionism and what the state of Israel is doing, you're immediately deemed an anti-Semite, right? It's as if there's absolutely no room for legitimate criticism. That's just but a, Pollyannish daydreaming. You cannot criticize what they're doing, right? There's no room for that. Absolutely. Zip, zilch, nada, not a scintilla, right? Unfortunately. And this what makes, things, it exacerbates the matter even more. So the problem is not necessarily having an issue with them, because they're Christian or because they're Jews. We have many, even during the high time or the golden age of Islam, it's not like it's a fantasy. Community cohesion and coexistence, it's not a fantasy. People talk about it like it's a fantasy as though it never existed in history before. You had Muslims living next to Christians, Christians living next to Jews, Jews living next to Muslims, and certain Jews actually occupied certain positions even in the Islamic government, right? So it's not, our beef here is not necessarily with, because they're Jews or because they're Christians. I mean, we as Muslims, we're obviously allowed to marry Jewish women. Men are allowed to marry Christian women. So if the beef was necessarily with Jews or Christians, then Muslim men would not be allowed to marry Jewish women or Christian women. But the beef is not necessarily there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You make me think of something else here. I think we, as Americans, I think we really have to move beyond this idea. I mean, at first, I think it was we could get away with being gullible, naive, unaware, and ignorant of what has taken place in the world. But I think today, with the proliferation of social media, smartphones, and the access to the internet, I don't think we can get away with the idea that, the world has a problem with us simply because of our freedoms and liberties. Mm-hmm. This is just asinine. I think the world has when you commit atrocity after atrocity to a people, when we have a bad track record here, although I'm kind of shifting gears here a bit, we're talking about Zionists, now I'm talking about what we're, as Americans here, what we're doing across the globe or in the world. We have to kind of look at ourselves and see, well, have we been good stewards around the world? Yes, we're helping the poor, we're helping the needy, but I think we've been the cause of a lot of carnage in the world. And I think it is time for us as Americans to own up and to speak to that and acknowledge perhaps maybe why some parts of the world have a problem with us. And it's not because of our, liberties or freedoms. Maybe it's because what we've done to them over the decades.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the reasoning for, you have someone like Omar Suleiman who's telling Jordan Peterson to go to hell? He's got him he's pretty worked up.
Why
would he? I mean, what's the context now? You would think
I am elated to see someone like Omar Suleiman. كبر في عيني صراحة الرجل. I'm بسم الله ما شاء الله يعني good move. That we're moving beyond the whole compassionate talk about love and mercy. I think that's good.
We got a lot of compassion, love in this. We follow the prophet of mercy.
But we don't want to overdo it.
I got you.
Where we become the pushovers.
Yes.
Yeah. So kudos to Dr. Omar Suleiman.
Yes, absolutely. And then you have over here, they're pretty much, a lot of people are saying the same thing. So if Jordan Peterson is sincere and he's reading some of these comments and he's like, there's got to be something there. Everyone from the comments here are pretty much saying there's all bought. He's pretty much bought. He pretty much sold his soul.
You know I don't know where to begin when it comes with Jordan Peterson, because when the man is a mountain of knowledge, a very knowledgeable person and a very smart and intelligent person. No one can take that away from him. And this is not me saying, hey, let's bring him to our next conference. Please, this is not what I'm getting at here. But I've noticed when he starts speaking about issues out of his domain, he really starts to speak nonsense. من تكلم كما يقولون من تكلم في غير فنه أتى بالعجائب. Whomsoever speaks outside of his own field of expertise will come with very wild, ludicrous, and bizarre ideas. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, this is what's happening with him. So a bit of humility on his part. يعني صراحة, it's a disgrace for a man of that stature and that man of popularity, really, to utter nonsense like this.
Rabbi Weiss,
it's disappointing.
I've had Rabbi Shapiro on the program and other Jews.
The incompatibility between Judaism and Zionism. Many Jews believe wrongly that Zionism is either part of Judaism or is compatible with Judaism or is even the main part of Judaism. All of those are actually false. Zionism was created to negate Judaism. Zionism was created to replace Judaism. The differences between Zionism and Judaism are vast. They're vast and profound. The propaganda that the Zionists have churned out for the past 100 years have confused and conflated Zionism and Judaism such that when the average person walks down the street, he thinks that the state of Israel is the Jewish state, he thinks that Zionism is Judaism, and he doesn't know the difference. This group of Jews here are students of the students of the late Satmar Rabbi Reb Yoel Teitelbaum, who was the greatest disseminator of the clarity regarding the difference between Judaism and Zionism.
Miko's a friend of mine. I consider he's someone out there who's speaking the truth, and I would really recommend people who want to know the truth to go look into some of their work.
Israelis really believe that the IDF is the most moral army in the world. The Israeli media is playing this shameful role of collaborating with the occupation. The government, the army, the secret services don't want you to tell. And the consumers, the readers and the viewers don't want to hear and don't want to know. One day someone will ask, what happened here? How come that this society is living in this denial? I try to whistle in the darkness, but I don't think it has any influence. On the contrary, you see that everything goes to the opposite direction.
So what's the point? I remember I asked my father the same question one day. He said, well, I don't want them to be able to say that they didn't know.
Yeah.
They cannot say they didn't know.
I mean, these are...
Norman Finkelstein?
No, okay.
I mean, what a man.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, may Allah guide him to Islam. He is vocal. He does not know the art of sugarcoating. Bismillah, mashallah. May Allah guide him to Islam, right?
But I mean, imagine if we're chanting, you know, if you see something like this is not what God conscious people who are, you know, people. No Muslims should be chanting deaf to Moses, or, you know, even in Islam you have don't curse their gods. What does Allah say? Or
yeah, ولا تسبوا الذين يدعون من دون الله فيسبوا الله عدوا بغير علم.
Show this clip real quick. What do you think when you see that? I mean, again, I don't have.
It's diabolical. It really comes off as being satanic and diabolical. I mean, it's not enough that you're oppressing the people, but you're finding joy and taking pleasure in doing so.
We don't have our way of life, submission to the Creator, not the creation.
Wow, that's a very interesting video, going through some of the videos that is being shown, and then the exchange of word between Jordan Peterson and then Dr. Suleiman Omar, of course, on their X account. Well, anyway, when it comes to Israel and Palestine issue, it's very complicated one, because we just wake up, in a sense, some couple of weeks ago, and then we saw the attack that was carried out by both nations, which caused, harm to humanity. In fact, it subject a lot of people into depression, subject a lot into poverty, starvation, and killing of a lot of innocent children end up, being victim of some of these political propaganda. You see, because of some of those things, that these people, decide to engage, themselves in, resulted for so many lives, to be lost. And if you look at the power that is happening, I will not say that whatever they are fighting, either the Israel we are actually fighting for the Jews or for the Christians, or neither is the Palestinian fighting for the Muslim. I just see that, these are brothers who are supposed to live, in peace with one another, but then they end up, using different, political, differences, and then therefore causing, uproar, violence, and terror attack, in their region. And that's why you see, like, the reasons why I says that I will not say these people fight for Christians is in the sense that, you see, if you look at it, like most African Christians do not support that attack on the innocent Palestine. You see, the Christians, you understand, in Africa, you understand, did not support this. Why? Because people are beginning to wise up. You cannot be using your own interest and then bring religion, you understand, into it and make it look like you are fighting for Christ. Like, that time has passed. Now, because of the use of the social media and some of these tools, technology, it has made people to be able to understand some of those things. It's not like before that whatever you see in the television, you tend to just accept it and then the way it is, and that's it. And because of most of these African countries, we have been colonized by the West, so whatever the West say is what they do. But I think this trend tend to change from that time that Russia invaded Ukraine and all those things. You see, some of the African countries, in a sense, did not support the West. And that's caused in a sense to be very surprised. It did not. Why? Because people have wisen up. All that we are trying to say is that people should try, you understand, to live, you understand, in peace. All this killing, you understand, is not helping us. Even though we as religious leaders understand that these are signs of the last day, it just shows that the end is near. And that's why you see nations are attacking nations, kingdom are attacking nations. And that's why you see all the earthquake, all those things. And then even the Bible tells us that what that is the beginning of what the sorrow. That's why we are looking at Matthew 24 from verse 8. Verse 8 said that this is the beginning of what sorrow. And this is what, you understand, we are facing today. Instead of us to live in peace, you see, somebody will just wake up one day and then just feel as to just go and kill innocent children, and then they just went on, innocent, killing them. For what? For occupation? Like on the land that does not belong to any of you. Have we forgotten how Abraham was buried? I thought that the religious book states that, in a sense, Abraham was buried in the land that he bought, that Ishmael and Isaac, in a sense, buried him in the land. So, where did we start getting all this conception that this land belongs to either the Muslim or it belongs to the Jews? Like, where did we get all these things from? You see that the religious books, in a sense, is a lie, or what exactly? I don't understand why people are doing this. These are unnecessary things. All this fighting, this one attack this, it does not fix the problem. We can only keep preaching, in a sense, peace and talk about peace. War is not an option. It's not something that any of us, in a sense, would like to witness, because whether you like it or not, innocent souls, in a sense, will be lost. Then what is the gain at the end of the day? I thought that, in a sense, our reward is supposed to be in heaven. Everything that we are supposed to be fighting for, supposed to be something that will be able to lead us to heaven. And then people are beginning to want to kill one another in order to gain a piece of land. Then after you have the piece of land, then what? What about the blood of those innocent people? You understand that they are slain just because you want to have a particular piece of land or have a particular place. This is just a very sad situation, you know, that we are facing, in a sense, nowadays. And we pray for God to be able to unite us and to help us to live in peace and harmony with one another. Because what is happening in this world, in a sense, nowadays is just for me and you to just decide to return back to our Maker. Because even at the signs of the last day, it makes us to understand that both the believers and even the unbelievers, both are they going to die. So the question is, imagine that I'm being killed, like right now that I'm in this, where will I even find myself? You that has listened to me, let's assume that they are being killed. So where will you find yourself? That's why we have to return back to our Maker and have a right standing with our God. So that should, in case something like that happen, then we can be able to know that we have suffered here on this very earth, but we need not to suffer in heaven again. But then there should be at least this kind of ease of pressure, ease of pain, all the things we have suffered here. We need not to go back there and go and suffer again. No. This is what, understand, we should be doing. There is no need of killing innocent people because of land. What are we going to use the land for? Something that we cannot take to heaven. Something that we cannot take anything to heaven. Even a cloth that they are even wearing, you are not even taking it. Even your child self, you not even know her or know him, you understand, in heaven. It's just your soul who resurrect. So what's the point of all these things that we're killing one another for? What? They are unnecessary, and we must desist, understand, from it. Else, otherwise, the wrath of God is going to be upon us. And that's why we have to pray. We keep praying for God, understand, to forgive us and then to also encourage one another, so that we should stop, you understand, attacking one another. So war is not an option. I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this video, and I want you to drop it at the comment section, and God is going to bless you. Also remember to indicate where you are watching me from and what you think about this video. Don't also forget to drop it at the comment section. Let's all learn from one another. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share and subscribe. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.